knew she had returned before I saw her. Not by scent alone, but by what the mountain no longer held. The silver jaws lay broken in the undergrowth. One by one. And though I had no need to ask who had done it, I went to find her anyway, with a reason fit for speech. And one I kept behind it. She stood where the trees bent over the stream, light resting quiet in her hands. No triumph in what she had done, only that clear, still force in her that refuses cruelty as if it were filth. She said simply that no child should ever be torn by such things, that pain like that should not be waiting in the dark. And the ease with which she spoke it, without fear, without asking what these traps had cost my kind before her, struck something in me harder than it should have. So I stayed, longer than caution should have allowed, as if the words themselves were only cover for what I'd already chosen not to leave. I could have let the moment close, but she was standing in that mountain light, with her blue stone at her throat. And all at once I wanted to know what had been laid against her skin so long, what had crossed years enough to reach my eyes. So I told her of the tooth I wear, how every black moon gives it forward, from father to son, from hand to blood, a line of bone surviving time. And when she touched the pendant at her breast, the air itself grew still to listen. She said transmission was something she understood, that her own pendant had come from her grandfather, nothing more given with it, but a sentence she had learned so well. It had never left her mouth, or memory that she must keep it, for the day its light would shine again. And when she said those words, I looked at the stone as if it had always waited, not for her, not for me, but for something that had not yet happened. I told her I could not explain it, but nothing in that pendant felt ordinary, not to my senses, not to whatever in me reads the living world beneath thought. Then she smiled, almost teasing, and said I seemed to have a great deal of instinct, that she too had always believed the stone was special. She could not have known what that word became inside me. Instinct, as if she had named it lightly, as if it were harmless, as if it were only intuition, and not the law beneath my skin, not the thing that knows her. Before I speak, before I choose, before I forgive myself. If she knew what instinct asks of me, what it takes to stand beside her and remain unmarked by wanting, it knows the shift in her breath, the warmth beneath her skin, the rhythm rhythm of her blood when she draws near. It knows the hours when her body opens toward the world, the hidden tide of her ripeness, the places on her that would carry my scent if I let my mouth remember them. It knows with a certainty too ancient to argue that I would mark her, keep her, call her mine, until the mountain itself learned her by my claim. And I want all of it, not less, not softer, not as metaphor, but with the full gravity of a man who knows what such wanting means. And because I want it so completely, I hold it shut. I give it no right to become her burden, no right to trespass where she has not opened the gate. Yet that night when distance turned to ache and speech would have required more courage than I had, I went to her in the shape that asked less of me. Not because the wolf desires what the man does not, but because the wolf can cross silence without pretending it is not there. I found her where the water moved in shadows, and this time I did not hide to what. I let my presence enter the clearing and stop. Still as stone, she saw me. Did not run, only looked, with that same grave curiosity that had already undone me once before. So I lowered myself to the earth, made all that I am less sharp, less towering, something touchable if she chose it. And when she came close, slow enough to honor fear she did not feel, her hand found my head, then my neck, and the world narrowed to that mercy, that unbearable gentleness, until her fingers stilled, until her breath changed, until her eyes searched mine with the terrible clarity of a mind joining every scattered piece. The child's cry, the silver trap, the word human, the weakness named as ours, and then my name, spoken softly enough to wound, not as question alone, but as recognition. She knew, and I did not leave. That was the hour the last lie ended. Not that I wanted her, not that I had already crossed too far within myself, but that there would be no other, no second answering, no later correction, no gentler fate to replace what I had found. She touched the beast and saw the man. She spoke my name to both, and nothing in her recoil, no fear, no horror, no hand withdrawn, only that impossible steadiness, as if what I am had not become lesser beneath her knowing, but more complete. So when she said Thorne, something in me rose and bowed in the same breath. The wolf in recognition, the man in ruin, and both understood at once that I had found my resonance. Not a passing want, not a weakness, not a hunger that time could thin, but the one life in whose presence all that I am answers. I had thought courage might be going to her as a man speaking plainly, standing bare in the shape that can be refused, but there are truths that arrive before bravery does. And that night beneath her hand, in the silence after my name, I learned this much at least. Even the form that asked less courage of me still led me to her and stayed.